the gardener and the foreigner. The landscape is amazing. All the land seems to be white, covered in a thick layer of snow. There is no weed or tree that allows the traveler to remember that those things exist. Only the whiteness losing itself in the horizon. From afar, the traveler stands out as a black dot in the immensity, small, alone. But let's get closer. Something very important must have taken him to that place. A superior force must have his back, because only a brave heart can dare to face this loneliness. Let's hear what he thinks. Let's join him in this difficult pilgrimage.
Give me strength, O Lord. I've been many days on this path, and I only find loneliness, cold, and despair. Have I mistaken the path? Have I been deceived by the voice I heard? My vision seems to shrink more and more. The fog and the white wind are closing off the way. But my determination is clear. If I don't find what I'm looking for, here is where I'll stay. When you've seen the light for a moment, you cannot live without it anymore.
Those were the traveler's thoughts, while his steps became weaker and weaker through the difficult trail. The snow was swarming around, surrounding him, as if it was stopping him from achieving his goal. Suddenly, his foot slips and his exhausted body falls. He ends up still on his knees. His eyesight is poor. Despair is invading his heart, but then, the wind clears up the fog in front of him, and some steps ahead, he sees something. A blurry contour that faded with the white snow, but without a doubt, there it was, what the traveler was looking for.
Thank you, O Lord, you did not abandon me.
He got up slowly, not feeling tired anymore. The doubts had dissipated. He continued with ecstasy, and with his walk the wind opened up to show a tall and wide wall in front of him. A thick wooden door awaited. Our traveler approached carefully. He standed strong, and with determination he knocked on the door, 1, 2, and 3 times. Deep silence answered. Was he going to be rejected? Everything around seemed so desolate and deserted, he wondered if someone could actually live there. The cold and doubt were intensifying. Time passed and nothing happened. He was about to knock again, but he perceived a subtle rustling. A small window was opening. Through it, he saw a pair of eyes staring at him attentively. Then, without a word, the window closed again. After, the big door opened up, heavy and slowly. Maybe it had not been open in a long time. The sun was shining beautifully over the gardens. A sense of harmony reigned the place, harmony that could be smelled and felt. The place was surrounded by trails that went through plants and flowers. In the most distant corners there were benches used as a meditation and peace spaces by the residents of that place. A special silence could be perceived, in which an indefinite melody could be heard. It was a silence full of calming and relaxing vibrations. In the distance, several groups of white houses with big galleries could be seen. There, the residents would come and go, dedicated to their chores. Slowly, the traveler regained awareness of himself, and he looked around for someone to speak with. No one was close, but after taking one of the trails, he found an old man that was working the land with great care. The traveler stopped, waiting for the man to acknowledge him. Minutes passed and the old man kept focus on his task. When the traveler could not stand the situation anymore, he faintly cleared his throat. But there was no reaction, so the traveler decided to speak.
Good man, can I interrupt you for a second?
The old man slowly turned, resting his tools in a bush. Then, his eyes fixed on the traveler, who had never seen eyes like those. Looking at those eyes felt like observing the sky, a universe of beauty, poetry and love. The tenderness that poured through those eyes was exhilarating. So special eyes that almost made the traveler fall on his knees.
I'm sorry, brother, I had not heard you coming. When I'm taking care of the garden, I focus so much on the work that I forget everything around me. I beg you to pardon me.
It's me who should apologize, sir. I'm new here, and I'm disoriented. I just got here. Or that's what I think happened, because I'm beginning to question my external senses.
You're right. Look at those walls that separate two worlds. Inside the walls, reality is different than what we commonly call reality. Inside there is reality, and outside is just appearance. But tell me, what are you looking for in these distant and hostile places?
I'm looking for wisdom, I'm looking for God.
Well, that is a difficult goal to achieve. Very difficult.
Could you help me, honorable sir? I'm a lost foreigner and I don't know what to do.
No one here is a foreigner, we're all siblings. And we are one in our apparent multiplicity. We all suffer together and enjoy together.
What beautiful words you're saying, they bring me comfort. My heart is broken from the struggles and mistakes that I left before those walls.
You must be aware that those things that you mentioned were necessary, those were part of the lesson, and without those experiences you wouldn't have had the strength to come here, and the gatekeeper wouldn't have opened the door for you.
But I feel so small before your presence, and I consider myself unworthy of being here.
Stop, brother, don't uselessly torment yourself. I have struggled and fallen many times as well.
You have? I cannot believe it, you don't seem to have scars.
Well, when you work hard in the right direction, the scars disappear. Like taking a new and purified body, transformed by the fire of pain. I can assure you that I've suffered a lot. Nevertheless, many impurities still fill my being. There are two paths in which we can learn the teachings of life. One of them is pain that purifies, but is very slow. It's the path taken by those in the world that you came from. That's why they call it a valley of sorrows, do you get it?
Yes, I understand, but what is the other path?
The other path is more difficult to explain and comprehend. The other way to learn and get closer to God is the path of the awakened consciousness.
The awakened consciousness. What is that like?
I just told you it is difficult. I can only add that whoever comes across this path does not need to suffer anymore. Pain stops being the master to give space to comprehension. Comprehension of the guiding cosmic laws.
The traveler, now a foreigner, admiring the wisdom of the humble gardener, felt a rush to obtain all the wisdom the place could hold. How much wisdom could he obtain from the masters of that monastery, if only a simple gardener knew so much? The old gardener sighed deeply, maybe reading the mind of the foreigner. With a kind expression he said,
"Beloved brother, do you like gardening? It's all I can teach you about. Working the land, cultivating a garden, and working with the elements of earth. Do you understand?"
Actually, I have faced great dangers in the search for knowledge. I'm sorry, but that is the mission I imposed on me. I don't want to hurt you, but I understand that everyone has a special mission.
That's how it is, brother.
When I got here I saw people deep in reflection, focused on big problems. That's what I'm looking for, wisdom to the highest level.
You're right, that is your path now. Maybe you'll be interested by this later.
I was informed that this sacred place held all the greatest wisdom. All the secrets, that's what I came looking for, the path to God.
You're right again, it is your path. Do you see those white houses over the hill? Go there, maybe within the corridors you'll find what you're looking for. Many brothers are dedicated to those studies. If you are worthy and put effort into it, maybe you'll be allowed to see our superior, the great master.
Thank you, sir. I hope you're not angry at me.
Don't worry, I'm only the gardener.
I promise if I have time, I'll come someday to learn about taking care of the garden and make it beautiful with flowers.
I hope so. Try to make a space for it. It's really amazing to work the land, sow seeds, see them grow and bloom as flowers and trees. Go with God, my son. My heart will go with you as well.
The foreigner kindly said goodbye to the old man, who went back to his gardening, humble and quiet. With hasty steps he approached the white houses and established himself there. The traveler spent many months there, deepening his mathematical knowledge, learning about the mystical side of numbers and its hidden meaning. He learned about healing, especially about how the cosmic laws work through nature. He practiced arts within the blissful state of mystical vision. He also participated in countless forums, classes, experiences, and achieved great wisdom. After all the studies finished, he felt ready to ask for an interview with the great master. So, he called his guide.
Beloved brother, I believe the long-awaited moment of meeting with the Honorable Great Master is here. I have been through all the teachings given here. I think I'm ready.
Okay, but before that I would like to ask you something very personal. Please answer with honesty.
Ask whatever you'd like, brother. I'll answer with sincerity.
Tell me, brother, how do you feel in regards to God?
I don't understand your question. Can you explain?
It's simple. How do you feel? Closer to God? Closer to the end?
His face turned pale, his confidence was gone. He looked to his brother guide, who was glancing at him with love and comprehension. Truly, that brother was wise and had deeply touched his heart. The day was clear and fresh, transparent. Harmony was everywhere and allowed God's presence to shine in every little thing. Through flowers, birds, and breeze. Everything was a song of praise for the Creator. The guide continued.
Okay, brother, what is our goal? Why and where are we heading?
Do not say another word, I understand. I'll answer with all my honesty. I thought that by learning what you teach here I would get closer to perfection, raised to God. But I confess this with sorrow, I feel disappointed. I don't feel closer to God. I'm so sorry, I failed.
Okay, good.
Why do you say that? Are you laughing at me?
No, on the contrary, I say good because it is good. If you had answered something else like being satisfied with what you've learned, we wouldn't have been able to do anything else for you. But if you're really feeling dissatisfied with the path or the outcomes, then we'll be able to start working.
Working, really? What about what I've learned in these long months?
That was just preparation. Is just now that real work begins. That prepared the land to receive the seed.
Are you saying that I'm not ready to see the great master yet?
Exactly. I don't think is the time for it.
Okay, what should I do now? Because I've been through everything that is taught here.
Not everything. This is where the most difficult part begins. You need to learn gardening.
What do you mean by gardening?
Yes, gardening. He who doesn't know how to cultivate his own garden cannot see God. It will be for a short time. When you speak with the master gardener, he'll explain how important that job is. The art of gardening, quote.
You leave me astonished. But it's okay, my decision is unbreakable. My goal is to get to God and obtain enlightenment. I won't give up.
That's what we like about you. Many give up with our patience and humility tests.
What should I do now, brother?
Tomorrow at dawn, go with our gardener brother and tell him that you want to learn how to cultivate the garden. Tell him exactly this: Master, I've found time to learn how to cultivate my garden. He will understand. Good luck to you is not an easy task, but the reward makes up for all the effort.
Thank you so much, brother.
The guide left with steady steps, everything in him radiated harmony. Our friend saw him walk away. The afternoon was about to end, the perfect time for meditation. At that moment, it was what he needed the most. His mind was racing and morning came before he was able to get some sleep. He got up quickly and did his mystical duties, to later head anxious to the place in which he chatted with the gardener many times. He wanted to get there before the gardener so he could look for something special in the garden, as a sign of guidance. The foreigner got there when the last stars were yet to disappear. The mist richly poured over the plants and flowers. There was a magical enchantment at that time, before sunrise. Silence was only broken with a rhythmical beat, and our friend was astounded when he saw the little old man bent, working on the land.
Good morning, brother gardener. I'm here to tell you I've found some time to cultivate my garden.
At these words, the old man stayed still for a brief moment. Then, he got up and all his height was shown. He was not so old, neither so little.
Welcome, apprentice of gardener. I'm glad that you found time to learn this difficult work.
Master, do you not rest from this job?
I don't. Once you start working the land and cultivating the garden, you cannot rest ever again. You must dedicate every hour of the day, and even more. You'll soon understand why. The soil becomes fertile and even the weeds grow faster. You have to work a lot.
I really don't understand this. What's the use of learning how to cultivate land?
Firstly, we need to know what land we are going to cultivate. That is paramount. But please wait for me and we'll keep talking later. Right now I need to pull all the weeds growing everywhere. Come and observe close. You need to learn how to defend your garden from these weeds.
But I don't see anything extraordinary, master.
Right, because they're very small right now, but if you let them grow, these bad weeds will soon suffocate the most beautiful flowers. You have to pull from the root because this undergrowth is very dangerous.
What is this weed's name, master?
This weed damages many gardens. It's called pride.
I've been so blind this whole time.
Do not condemn yourself, my son. Teachings come at the right time. You wouldn't have understood before, just like that saying, when a disciple is ready, the master appears. However, if you are a good observer, you might notice the master is always present. But we don't see it. We can walk right by and not recognize him.
You're right. This brings to memory when you said before there's two paths to learn. One of them is pain, and the other is the awakening of consciousness. Why don't you explain more about the latter? What is the awakening?
It's simply awaken, to be vigilant.
Yes, but being vigilant to what?
There's the key: remember that I'm the gardener of my garden. You must be the gardener of your garden. No one can cultivate on other land than their own. And you've noticed what garden and land we are referring to. Listen, brother, we should be alert and vigilant to choose the seeds we sow in our garden, in our mind, because it is a very fertile soil in any seed. Whether brought by the wind or thrown by someone malicious, I repeat, any seed will grow strong and lush. That's the reason of being vigilant.
I understand your words, brother gardener. It's definitely a difficult task, but is the key to getting closer to God.
Exactly, we need to cultivate our inner garden, our mind, because from there will bloom and grow the flowers that we can give to God, who enjoys them very much.
Okay, how can I help you, Master?
It was enough for today. Leave and meditate about everything we talked about. We'll continue tomorrow.
Profound reflections occupied our foreigner friend's mind. A wide vision was opening up. That night, in dreams, he saw himself working hard on a dry and tough land. Hoe in hand, he would work the land, drenched in sweat. The weeds were trapping him, but he was boldly fighting. When he woke up, his body ached so much that he wondered if everything had been real. It's so difficult to separate reality from imagination. Rushing, he headed to the master's garden and found him sitting, thoughtful.
Good morning, Master.
Good morning, son.
I'm surprised that I don't hear the sound of your hoe.
Once in a while, to see the outcome of our work, it is necessary to step back from the world and its noise. To observe and notice the results.
Oh, Master, if you only knew what I experienced last night. I had a terrifying nightmare. After waking up, I felt beaten and in pain.
That's how it's supposed to be, son. Not only during the day we work in the garden, but we do it at night as well. Is in that moment when we can receive guidance or special instructions. Is an immense work, but we also receive immense help to carry it out. The masters never let us be tested beyond our strength.
I'm more amazed every day.
Good, okay, so now I want to take you to a garden. Come with me.
Together they walked through the huge park, crossing big roads surrounded by beautiful multicolored trees. Until they stopped in a ravishing garden.
Look at this garden. Do you like it?
Yes, I do. Lovely flowers and a harmonious layout.
This is your garden. Here is where you'll work.
My garden.
Yes, how you work on your mind will be reflected here. Your inner work will project on the outer world.
Beloved brother, what a privilege is to have you as a master on this task.
In a rush of love, the foreigner grabbed the gardener's hand and kissed it. The eyes of the master shined in a special way, embracing his disciple in a light imperceptible by mortals. Finally, the master said,
Don't forget you must do this job on your own. I'll teach you the techniques and everything else is on you. It must come from inside, where the true master is, he who really is a great gardener.
Please tell me where to start.
Okay, tell me, what do you see in the garden?
I see beautiful flowers placed everywhere.
Do you know what those flowers are? They're your knowledge. Although there are some flowers with colors I don't like so much. Do you see those red carnations? They represent a passionate dominance that takes away harmony from the garden. You must work until that plant blooms with white or a softer red colored flower. What's the point for men to cultivate divine art that rises to heaven if the masterpiece gets clouded by mundane passions such as pride, vanity, or selfishness? Those are some of the colors your flowers have. Colors of envy and doubts. You can have great knowledge, and however be far away from God.
Master, I'm so embarrassed. I feel unworthy of being here next to you.
No, son, there's no need to. There's a lot of work to be done in order to purify and embellish this place, which is what we came to do here on earth. Most of the time we're not aware of weeds that suffocate our roses. The weeds seem part of the garden. If we don't stumble with them and trip, we don't see them. In other words, we don't become aware of these flaws. Who can call themselves proud, selfish or cruel? No one. Everybody justifies themselves saying, I'm not proud, I'm more worthy than others. I'm not selfish, I earned this and it is mine. I'm not cruel but just. See? Weed hides itself cunningly.
So much wisdom in your words.
And so much more wisdom you'll find in your chest.
Where should I start? I find the task gigantic.
I think that is enough for today. Go back again to you and meditate about all of this. But before, I want you to hear the words from the greatest gardener that has ever been on earth. His name was Jesus, son of Mary. He wisely said, there are many trees, not all of them bear fruit. There are many fruits and not all of them can be eaten. Thus, there are many kinds of knowledge, but not all of them are valuable to men.
The foreigner spent all day in the serene forest after their talk. Every tree, flower and bird gained a different meaning, a new dimension. Again, he dreamt that night and cried in his dreams. When he woke up, his pillows were wet and his eyes swollen. The inner gardener had been working all night. Much of the time he worked in his garden with the vigilant presence of his master. Little by little, the flowers changed colors, the lower appetite and desires were replaced by generous desires, and he got closer and closer to God. Every day he unattached more from the superficial and mundane. One day he felt troubled and sought advice from his master.
Master, I feel confused. Some weeds I don't recognize are sprouting in my garden, but I did not plant them. What does this mean?
I explained this before, not only the seeds we plant grow in our gardens. Any seed can grow in fertile soil, whether useful or toxic. Therefore we need to be vigilant to what comes into our garden because sometimes it comes through the wind, or thrown by a neighbor. I insist, we must select and control the seed's quality. In our minds, someone whispers a thought and suddenly it has life of its own. If it's toxic, we should aim to pull it out. We need to keep ourselves vigilant.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to ask you, Master. I followed your instructions, but some plants grow weak with yellowish leaves. Have I made a mistake?
Have you stirred the soil correctly?
Yes, Master.
Have you watered the tender sprouts?
Yes, Master.
Okay, we'll see what's wrong. Oh, I know now. Do you see those trees around your garden? They're big and leafy, which blocks the sunlight. Thus, your plants don't thrive. The trees symbolize mundane sciences that fill up your mind. Sometimes knowledge is an obstacle to see the light. We must prune those trees to see the sunlight. That's why unless we are pure and innocent like children, we're not allowed in the heavenly kingdom.
Does that mean I have to cut down the tree? Does it mean I should live in ignorance?
No, son, you just need to crop the branches that block sunlight and air. Once you've reached truth by another way, the inner path, you'll see how it joins the science path. You'll see how science gains a different meaning and dimension.
I have to meditate a lot on your words to deeply understand the truth. I do remember that plants receive life from the sun, a symbol of light, and we also depend on the infinite goodness of God to cross the path. That's why we need to trust in His almightiness. We are nothing without Him. One last question before I leave, Master. A flock of birds invaded my garden the other day. They were horrible, fierce, and they plucked flowers and ate many seeds. If it continues, my garden can be destroyed. What should I do? Defend myself.
My son, if they try to destroy your garden, you must fight bravely, putting your life on it. At all costs. You should drive them away, and understand they don't have any power over you. Only the power you give them. Birds are negative ideas and thoughts, expectations and ignorance that submerge us in darkness. Those are ghosts wanting to distort our concepts. Remove them from your garden. Always consider we cannot stop flocks of birds from flying over our garden, but we can stop them from making their nests on it. Reflect on everything we've talked about. Get your own conclusions, and most importantly, apply them to your everyday life.
The foreigner worked a lot in his garden. Bit by bit, there was a change in him. The flowers were white, blue, pure, and gorgeous. Almost no weeds on his land, an immense peace and great harmony with the cosmic laws shined through his face. The impatience that once dominated him, the envy that once tormented him, the doubt and selfishness were all gone. Purified. The master who vigilantly observed his progress spoke to him one day.
Dear foreigner brother, you've made great progress. You've learned how to cultivate your garden, and I feel that soon your highest desire will be satisfied.
Are you talking about the interview with the great master?
Yes. I've been observing you. I have confirmed you've purified your body enough to be able to endure His presence. So, you need to prepare for 3 days. You'll fast and meditate, and then you'll visit the Cathedral of Sounds. But to prepare you'll have another guide.
Am I not going to be with you anymore?
No. Now you should keep going forward on your own. This is our time to say goodbye.
But I don't feel ready yet, and I would like to be more time next to you, at least some more time.
Beloved brother, you now know the essentials. Your mission will be going over the world, spreading seeds in the gardens you find in your path. Understand, you'll be a new sower, one of those that quietly go around in the great garden of the Lord.
Master, I will miss you so much.
Me too, dear son, but everyone has their own mission in life, and we need to fulfill it completely even though some pains of our flesh happen in the way.
Please, give me your blessing.
Son, please don't torture our hearts any longer.
The disciple had kneeled in front of the gardener, who made a sign on his head. Then, he placed both hands on his shoulders. The old man looked up to the sky and mumbled,
Lord, protect him.
Then he helped the foreigner to get up. An intense vibration was flowing in the air that seemed to come out of the master's chest. His eyes were amazingly sweet. The trees shook their leaves, dancing with a strange breeze. They seemed to be waving goodbye to his friend. The fragrance from the flowers spread even more. In the foreigner's garden, a rosebud bloomed, glowing with its red color just like a burning fire from the love that burnt in those hearts. Trembling, the foreigner went to his room and stayed there during his preparation, deep in meditation and contemplation. His soul was elated, as if he had crossed a portal to a different dimension. Time lacked meaning. At the end of the last day, the guide came to him.
Brother, I will take you to the Cathedral of Sounds, and there you'll finish your purification. Then, you'll be ready to meet the Grand Assembly.
I'll follow you, honorable guide.
In the cathedral you'll hear very special sounds. You'll receive vibrations that will elevate your soul to a special state in which you'll be able to commune with the cosmic masters as long as your own nature allows you. At some point, you might feel scared, but it'll soon pass. Nothing should shake your inner peace. The cathedral is there, on top of that smooth hill. Get slowly closer to harmonize your molecular structure with the vibrations. It's easier, you'll see. They will be your guides. Profound peace for you.
Profound peace for you, brother.
At a slow pace he headed to the hill. The place was magnificent. To each side some small forests interrupted the fine line of the hill. The Cathedral of Sound sat at its center, majestic and radiant. From afar, it looked like an ivory dome with a needle in its center, pointing to the sky. As he was approaching, he perceived something similar to a giant choir. A wave of vibrations came to him, crashing into his chest and paralyzing him. An inner voice advised him to stop for a few moments. After, the pressure felt lighter and he continued his walk. He was perceiving the sounds increasingly stronger. The vibrations surrounded his body, making him tremble. An indescribable state took hold of him. The sounds went up and down, rhythmically. As if the heart of the universe was beating right there, at the cathedral. At times, it seemed like his body was dissolving in the energetic atmosphere that went up and down from heaven to the dome, and from it to heaven, in a constant flow. Even though our friend did not see a door or frame to enter, he kept going, attracted by a magical enchantment. He kept going and penetrated the dome, which was not solid. There the sounds were hardly heard, but rather felt like a vibrant sensation through the body. At the top of his head, a bright light that was not hurtful to his eyes was shining strong. In fact, everything was light and he couldn't see anything that was not light. His body seemed to lose density. It was only his mind that preserved an identity. It was a strange unity with everything. He did not know if he was seeing real images or mere products of fantasy. In front of him, maybe close or afar, he observed a table with white cloth. On top of it there was a red stain, in contrast to the shiny white around. He wanted to approach the table, but an invisible force stopped him, so he patiently waited, in ecstasy. With harmony as he had never ever felt. Sounds reached their maximum range, and then they started decreasing their intensity. A deep gong resonated while something similar to a door opened up. His heart stopped, waiting. Through the door, several rows of light beings appeared. They looked like angels. The foreigner was seeing, feeling, and perceiving the presence of the cosmic masters. His legs loosened up, and he fell on his knees. His hands were clasped, and his face drenched in tears. He saw those beings move and take their seats in front of him. Only one stayed on his feet, tall and delicate. Indescribable. The being spoke with a voice that resonated through the whole cathedral, powerful as a thunder, but soft as the flutter of a dove at the same time.
Beloved brothers of the kingdom of light, we come to this sacred place to say our farewells to a traveler. As a result of his efforts and love, he has reached enlightenment. In our sacred teachings it is very clear which goals belong to the garden of truth. The purpose is to guide men to cross the great portals of said garden, until all of us are within its walls. There where the truth flowers constantly bloom, and where the weed of deceit has been pulled out. The great masters of this brotherhood will be proud of his work. In this garden, there are no purple flowers of stubborn opinion. There are no yellow flowers of selfish desires. There are no flowers of partial passions nor self-disappointment. Rightfully, there are white and blue flowers, flowers of truth that symbolize purity and knowledge. To achieve a garden like that, we have planned to do this trip together. Brother foreigner, you have our blessing and support. In the hardest struggles, we'll be with you. Follow the paths that God has outlined, and when you call us, we'll be there. I want to give you as a proof of our love, this red rose, that symbolizes the purifying fire, which should burn in all hearts, especially those that have seen the light. Take it and have it with you.
That light being took a red rose that was on the white table, got closer and stretched out his hand holding the rose. The foreigner received the gift, and his heart beat rampantly. He recognized those hands. The hands of his beloved gardener master. He shyly raised his eyes to look at that face full of light. Yes, that was his master, the humble gardener. How much time had they shared together, and a foreigner had been blind, without recognizing who was actually his master. Those eyes were the last thing he saw before waking up and seeing himself laying on the snow, white snow. He looked for his friends. No one was around. Only him in the middle of that dazzling whiteness. He slowly got up and saw a red stain next to him. It was a red rose. He picked it up. A beautiful red rose. The end.